Do you want to write a really good book and not screw it up at the very last second? I can maybe help you with that just by giving you this one piece of advice. If you decide to pick a certain genre, stick with that genre. Stick with that genre. Don't suddenly change genres, especially in the epilogue. You're probably wondering, what would make her say something like that? Like, how would that even work? Let me explain. I just finished a book, and I'm not going to say the name of the book or call out the author because I don't want to do something like that. I thought the book was actually really well done. There were a few technical errors when it came to certain spelling mistakes, certain grammatical mistakes, but otherwise the book itself was really well done. I thought the characters were well developed. I saw growth in the characters for the most part, and I thought it was a good book from beginning to the first epilogue. And then, out of nowhere, the author threw everybody for a loop. The best way I could describe it is if you are reading The Notebook, and in the epilogue, they throw in Haunting Adeline. Basically, I can say the book is like a romantic comedy with a little drama sprinkled in, and there's an antagonist. The antagonist is the stepsister to the main female character who stole her boyfriend, getting married to the boyfriend, realized that now she's got a rich and better boyfriend and is trying to steal him. He's not interested because he's totally in love with the main female character, and that does not make the stepsister happy. And basically, it's a really sweet story between the main male character and the main female character. It all plays off very nicely. There's really nice growth between the main male character and the main female character. There's a real kinetic energy between them. It's very spicy between them, and it's a good amount of spice between them. It really works so well from the beginning to the first epilogue, which brings us this happily ever after. And I really loved the book. But then we get to the second epilogue, which brings us to the comeuppance for the antagonist. Usually what happens is the antagonist gets their comeuppance slowly throughout the series. And what we would have expected is maybe her fiance would have found out that she was trying to hit on the new guy, and he would have dumped her in a very spectacular fashion at the wedding, humiliating her and embarrassing her, and she would have had to go running home to mama. Or maybe she would have tried hitting on this guy again, and he would have just really humiliated her in a spectacular way, and she would have just had to go running home or trying to run back to this guy, and he would have said, no way, absolutely not, and she would have had to ended up single. That's not what ends up happening. This author, after giving us a romantic, sweet, Hallmark with the side of spice, comedy, drama, decides to give us Haunting Adeline in a very short 2-page epilogue. She decides that the comeuppance for the stepsister is to have her in a very graphic, violent, detailed way. She has her and like I said, it is so out of tune with the rest of the theme of the book. The rest of the theme of the book is so, like I said, romantic comedy with a little drama sprinkled in. And this epilogue is completely dark and malicious and violent. And people took notice. The reviews were really harsh just about that one scene. People would say that they liked the book, but not that scene. One person saying the last chapter was totally unneeded. One person saying that they knocked a star off just because of that last chapter. When readers purchase a book, they rely on the authors. They trust you with their reading experience. I really am not a big fan of dark romances. I will read them on occasion if they get really good reviews, and I have liked a few of them. They're just not my thing. So if I'm picking up a book that looks like it's going to be kind of like a sunny romance, a romantic comedy, a sweet kind of Hallmark with a side of spice, that's what I'm looking for. So if you throw a dark romance like A Haunting Adeline, violent, graphic, really something like I read in this last epilogue, out of nowhere with no warning, you just kind of throw it at me like that, I'm not going to trust you as an author ever again, and I am not going to purchase another book from you. Like I said, this was like reading The Notebook and then having a side of Haunting Adeline thrown at you without warning. I mean, this book was literally a sunny, romantic, Hallmark-esque book with spice. And then it took a dark turn at the last second. And that's the only thing I can really remember for most of the part, because it just erases, since it's the last thing you read, it erases everything else. Erases everything else. And it literally, it's a shock to your system, because it is so completely opposite of the energy of the rest of the book. And now I don't trust that author. I will not pick up another book from that author because I don't trust them. If they're going to write a book, a romantic book, and they're going to like say that it's one type of a book, I'm not going to trust them. And so I'm not going to pick up and then if you read the reviews and you see those kind of reviews, who's going to want to pick up a book like that? They're going to think, ooh, I'm not going to, that doesn't sound like the kind of book I'm going to want to read. So if you want success, you know, it's one thing like if you're writing romantic comedy, but you sprinkle in some like drama, but you don't want to go Notebook and then throw in Haunting Adeline. You got to use a little common sense. So if you want to be successful, pick a genre, stick to the genre, maybe sprinkle in a little bit of like I said, comedy with a little drama, a little science fiction with a little comedy and drama. I mean, use a little common sense, but you're not going to want to go Hallmark movie and then add in violent, graphic, just my opinion, but there you go.